Your bitches need to take a hint. I don't think I've ever done a rant video before, so this might be my first one. There are 5 types of people who annoy the shit out of me. Whenever I'm reading a book or whenever I say that I like to read books, I often encounter these kinds of comments and snide remarks and these sorts of things, and it gets under my skin. So I thought that I would talk about these 5 types of people today with y'all, and hopefully you can relate. The first one is probably the one that annoys me the most, and that is the bougie bookworms. These are the readers and the book lovers who only read a certain tier of literature, okay? They only read complex literary fiction novels that really address the nuances and complexities and complications and layers and philosophies and contemplations of what it means to be a human. They only read the classics, you know, these old dusty ass books written by white people back in the 1700s. They only read complicated, detailed science fiction and fantasy novels that challenge the mind with worlds that magic systems and science and explorative stuff. And here's the thing, I have no problem with that. I think it's great. I like to read a little literary fiction, a little fancy thing now and then, you know, it's fun. It's intellectually stimulating. I think it's fine. And if that's all you like to read, I 100% support that. I think those types of books definitely need to be more supported in the literary community. What I don't like is when you try to make it out that romance and mystery and young adult literature and all of these things, they're beneath you. They're not good literature. They're not good books. You would go as far as to say that these are not even considered literature. First of all, let me tell you something. If it's a book and it's been published, says it's literature, you could have a seat. Secondly, please do not try to pretend that you're better than me, or that you're greater than me, or that you're a more well-rounded human being than me because you only read Shakespeare or something, bitch. I literally giveth not a fuck. I really hate this kind of mentality because it's so elitist and it's so bougie and stush and annoying. And I saw it so much when I recently tweeted something that got a lot of attention on Twitter, and it had something to do with like rom-coms like Love, Simon and Crazy Rich Asians and these kinds of things, and people were literally responding and saying shit like, these books are not literature, these are not good, these are mediocre. Like, sis, it's a romantic comedy. What you expect? You expect some kind of like deep underlying message of societal importance. Just because you have a stick up your ass and you can't enjoy a fun little romantic comedy or a thriller or a young adult novel doesn't mean that you have the authority to shame other people for liking those things. Really is annoying. You're not making yourself look better than anybody else. You're making yourself look like a dick, so stop doing it. The next type of person falls along a similar line to the last one, and that is the genre police. These are the types of people who think that only certain types of books are for certain types of people. This book is for girls, this book is for boys, this book is for young adults, this book is for adults, and you can't read those things because it's not in your target audience or whatever. Now, I do think that all books have a target audience, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Yes, this one book is aimed at young adults. Yes, this one book is aimed at, you know, particularly women over men. But it doesn't mean that people who don't fall into that demographic shouldn't be able to read and enjoy those books. I'm a 21-year-old who likes to read young adult novels, which tends to be about people who are usually like 16, 17, 18. And I don't feel as though as if I'm reading something that is beneath me. I don't feel as though as if I'm reading something immature. I'm reading books that just so happen to feature characters that are younger than me. I've seen this sentiment all over the internet. Look at all of these adults reading young adult literature. It's so inappropriate. It's so immature. The only thing that's inappropriate and immature is that you're so concerned about what other people are reading. The next type of person who probably irritates me the least, but still gets me kind of annoyed, is the self-proclaimed dumb blonde. So these are usually people who compliment you. They don't try to insult you, but they try to insult themselves. So when you're reading a book, they somehow think that you're this scholar because you're reading a novel. They're like, oh my god, you're so smart. Like, oh my gosh, you're reading books. These books are so big and it's so complicated. Bitch, I'm reading Twilight. What are you talking about? I think people associate books with school so much so to the point where anytime somebody's reading a book, they think that they're a nerd or that they're studying. Like, literally, I've had experiences where I was reading and people asked me if I was studying. And people would say like, oh, I wish I was smart enough to read so much books. I wish I had the capacity to read so much books. And it's like they put themselves down. I'm here to tell you that just because somebody reads doesn't necessarily make them smart. It just means that they could read. If you can't read, or you have trouble reading, or you just simply don't read because you think reading is only for smart people, that doesn't mean that I am smarter than you because I'm an avid reader. It just means that I read and you don't. Not one of us is better than the other. So don't put yourself down. Maybe try a book, maybe listen to an audiobook if you have difficulty reading. it's fine. The next type of person is the biblical Biblio haters. Now, if you are a reader of fantasy and you have religious family, likely you have encountered this person several times. I'm not a huge reader of fantasy, but there was a time where I went fishing with my brother and I took a Harry Potter book with me. I was reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and I had a full-on anxiety attack while I was there because the river that we went to was so disgusting, it was so nasty, it was green, it was smelly, it had so much garbage, and it's in this big, well-to-do area of Trinidad, and they like to play this so big and they bad and they bougie, but the river stink. So I had an anxiety attack out of sheer disgust. Now you know what triggers me. And literally my brother had to like rush me home, and when I came home, somebody who was a part of my family back then but is no longer a part of my family, thank God, had the audacity to tell me that it wasn't an anxiety attack but it was spiritual imbalances because I was reading a Harry Potter novel. These are the type of people who believe that fantasy novels like Harry Potter and Game of Thrones and whatnot are literally the spawn of Satan. And I'm not here to put down anybody's beliefs, okay? I'm a person of faith myself, I'm a Muslim, so if that's what you believe, if you believe that these books have Satan and the Illuminati and Jesus, Antichrist, all of these things inside of them, you could go ahead and believe all of that. What you're not going to do is extend your divine obligation of not reading these books to me. I don't believe the same things that you do, at least I don't believe it to the same extent that you do, so don't come and try to tell me that my mental health is not actually, has anything to do with mental health. It's because I'm reading a book that has fucking Voldemort in it. You could go to the mosque, you could go to the church, you could go to the temple and have all of the seats available. Thank you very much, have a blessed day. And the final one that I want to talk about, this is basically me calling out everybody in my life. The bookish bank tellers. These are the people who suddenly have a concern about how you spend your money. Usually they're people who don't really buy books or don't really see the point of buying books. My parents are excused from this because they're my parents, so they are entitled to, you know, be concerned about how I spend my money. That's their job. But everybody else suddenly has an issue with the fact that I buy like 2 to 3 books a month. People would be so concerned that I'm buying books to read when I already have physical books that I own that I haven't read as yet, as though as if there's some law that states that you cannot buy books unless all of the books that you own are read. People will be like, oh, why don't you go to the library instead of spending all that money on books? Sis, I do go to the library. I go to the library for like West Indian fiction and that kind of stuff, but like newer releases don't typically come to our libraries down in Trinidad because y'all ass is not supporting the libraries, so they're probably not really getting much funding to order new books, so my ass has to buy the new releases and the big name books that are coming out because I want to read them. And if I have a little bit of extra money at my disposal to purchase books, I will purchase the books because that's my prerogative. And people are always like, oh, books are so expensive, why are you buying books? Oh my god, that don't make no sense. You could go and read a PDF or something. Bitch, that's illegal, first of all. Secondly, like, I don't tell y'all anything about spending all this money on all these expensive parties and carnival costumes. Like, sis, go ahead, have fun, enjoy your life, spend your money, but I'm not telling you anything about how you spend your money, so don't tell me anything about how I spend my money. So those are the 5 types of people who really irritate me as a reader. In the comments down below, if you have experienced any of these people, I would love to hear your stories. If there's another type of person or another type of people that annoys you while you're reading or because you're a reader, let me know in the comments as well. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.